We've gone through the original era of Mortal Kombat, and now it's time to get 3D. From 2D to 3D, in more ways than one. All right, let's talk about it. Before there was Mortal Kombat 4, there was Mortal Kombat Mythologies. Oh boy. I am so happy that this is where the era started. While honestly hearing about this game really made me want to play it, I have heard that it is not very good and it's very frustrating and redundant. So instead, after I learned about the existence of this game, I just decided to watch and react to the cutscenes for your pleasure. So you can check that out on my channel. And if there are any other Mortal Kombat games you want to see me react or even just like play through, Shaolin Monks, just let me know in the comments. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero released in 1997 and was a 2.5D side-scrolling adventure game breaking away from the more traditional fighting game style we'd come to know Mortal Kombat 4. This was sadly one of the last games to actually digitize actors, something I really actually loved about the earlier games. While mocap would still be utilized at times, we would actually be moving into the digital age with 3D models. It was made in part by Avalanche Software, the same folks that actually brought us Hogwarts Legacy. Whoa! The story follows the original Sub-Zero, Bi-Han, and takes place before the events of Mortal Kombat 1. In the game, you play exclusively as Sub-Zero, a member of the Lin Kuei who is most certainly not a Chinese ninja warrior. Well, I mean, he's Chinese and he's a warrior, but he apparently hates, and I mean hates, being called a ninja.
Let's get something straight. I am not a ninja. I am Lin Kuei. Scorpion was a ninja.
Sub-Zero is given a quest at the behest of the Lin Kuei Grand Master, who has contracted Sub-Zero out to Quan Chi. Quan Chi basically wants Sub-Zero to go retrieve a map from the Shaolin Temple. He agrees to take on the quest and he sets out to retrieve the map. The game plays kind of like an RPG, with Sub-Zero leveling up to unlock all of his different moves. While on his quest, Sub-Zero encounters the Shirai Ryu, the Lin Kuei's rival clan, who were also hired by Quan Chi, basically as like a reassurance that I guess between the two clans, he would get what he needed. And maybe also because Quan Chi was up to something. Sounds like Quan Chi to me. During the encounter, Sub-Zero fights and kills a yellow-clad ninja from that clan. I wonder who that could be. Any guesses? Before he retrieves the map. Returning back to the Lin Kuei, Sub-Zero gives the map to Quan Chi, who then explains that it leads to an amulet that, while not having much value to others, has sentimental value for him. Sentimental value. Immediately, Quan Chi in this game is honestly so sus, and he just doesn't show any signs of letting up here clearly. Quan Chi also pays the Lin Kuei additionally by revealing that he basically killed all the members of their rival clan, the Shirai Ryu, wiping them out completely by dumping a bag of bones out morbidly for the Grandmaster and Sub-Zero to see. And it kind of also makes you wonder what would have happened to the Lin Kuei had the Shirai Ryu actually succeeded in the quest, you know what I mean? Like, I love how excited the Grandmaster is, but at the same time, it's like, dude, that could have been you in that bag. Sub-Zero is then tasked with an additional quest from Quan Chi to use the map to retrieve the amulet. When asked, why Quan Chi doesn't just like do this part himself, Quan Chi reveals that he actually can't enter the temple until all of the elemental guardians of the temple are defeated. Not sus. Not sus at all. Once Sub-Zero has done this and retrieved the amulet, Quan Chi immediately appears and reveals, of course, that he has tricked Sub-Zero. The amulet doesn't have sentimental value. Quan Chi just wants it for the power, baby. So he can use it to revive the elder god Shinnok. Quan Chi immediately portals the heck out of there with his sweet, sweet prize, his amulet, and leaves Sub-Zero to walk very sadly down the steps. But before he can go full emo, Lord Raiden appears and decides to use the parental power of disappointment and shame to basically guilt trip Sub-Zero for his part in Quan Chi's evil plot. Lord Raiden sets Sub-Zero on another quest to pursue Quan Chi to the Nether Realm and retrieve the amulet, undoing what he wrongfully but mistakenly did. Sub-Zero agrees, and then he's portaled to Jurassic Park. No, sorry, he's portaled to the Nether Realm. Though both do have dinosaurs yours, apparently. In order to get to Quan Chi, Sub-Zero must first defeat his badass assassins, Kia, Jitaka, and honestly, my fave, Serena. Cannot wait to play her in MK1. I also gotta say, I love that all three are badass lady sub-bosses in the game. That is awesome. Quality. After defeating Quan Chi, Sub-Zero then must fight Shinnok, the final boss, who is actually apparently pretty easy to take out once you've like yoinked his amulet away from him. The amulet is delivered back to Earthrealm, given over to Lord Raiden for safekeeping, and Sub-Zero also had a pretty interesting character development moment here where he kind of like questions whether or not Lord Raiden intended for him to return from the Netherrealm, as apparently Raiden couldn't go there at this point in canon. Only those that are impure or evil in some way can enter the Netherrealm, and it's kind of implied here that like even when he's in the Netherrealm, it's basically kind of implied that Sub-Zero may have been sent there because he's evil to just like chill there, pun intended, and be trapped there forever. And Raiden doesn't say no to that, but he's basically like, you decide who you want to be. You're kind of evil, but like maybe you could not be evil. Give it a try. The game ends with Shang Tsung arriving at the Lin Kuei Temple and acquiring Sub-Zero, who is to participate in his Mortal Kombat tournament, which of course leads into MK1. Shang Tsung is also played by Richard DeVizio here, the same actor who portrayed Quan Chi in the cutscenes, if you were wondering, which I should mention are mainly done in live action. I didn't say that, but yeah. Which was part of the appeal for me actually playing the game, and why instead I had to at least watch the cutscenes for this game. Mortal Kombat Mythologies is apparently considered one of the worst games to have ever existed in this franchise. But honestly, I gotta be honest, I kind of love it. Next up is Mortal Kombat 4, which was also released in 1997. This was the first 3D fighting game in the franchise featuring fully 3D model characters instead of digitized actors. Sad. The game included sidestepping, weapons you can use in combat, a max damage cap, and much more violence and fatalities for fans of the franchise. There are stage fatalities, and each character has actually 2 fatalities in this game. And finally, Scorpion actually gets to turn into a giant scorpion in one of his fatalities, as opposed to an egg-laying penguin, which is what he turned into with his animality. So, yeah. I need to do a reaction to all the animality transformations. I haven't watched all of them, but I've seen enough to know it's ridiculous. Liu Kang's epic dragon fatality also returns, speaking of cool fatality animalities, you know, where you turn into an animal. Looking much cooler than it did in the Annihilation film too, I gotta say. It looks just so much better in the games, so much better. The story for MK4 goes a little something like this. Thousands of years ago, Shinnok, the Elder God, planned to conquer all of the realms, but he was defeated by Raiden. As is hinted at in Mythologies, it's actually Quan Chi's mission to return Shinnok to power, and this time he succeeds in doing completely that here, with the help of Tanya, who is the traitor of Edenia. She was from Edenia, but she's a traitor to her people. The heroes included in the game are Raiden, Liu Kang, Sonya, Jax, Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero, Kung Lao's friend Kai, ally of Raiden, the Wind God Fujin, and also Scorpion, who actually seeks to get revenge on Quan Chi for killing his wife and child. After realizing in Mythologies that of course Sub-Zero was not the one to blame for their deaths, and that both of them had been manipulated basically by the sorcerer. Reptile also appears in this game and seeks to serve Shinnok in exchange for Shinnok promising to help save his realm. Also on the side of villains is Jarek, the last member of the Black Dragon clan, the same clan that Kano belonged to, and in fact Jarek is basically kind of like a stand-in for Kano in this game, and Reiko, Shinnok's outworld assassin. While Shinnok is the final boss, Goro actually returns as the sub-boss in the game, which I think is pretty cool. Hidden characters in the game are the villainous Noob Saibot and joke character Meat, the playable 3D model that is also used for when characters lose their skin. In the canon ending, Raiden succeeds in defeating Shinnok, and Liu Kang saves Edenia, freeing it from Shinnok's threat. Kitana offers Liu Kang a place at her side as ruler of Edenia. He could be her king if he wanted, but Liu Kang is actually content to accept his destiny as Earthrealm's champion, and he decides instead to just return home And Scorpion finally gets revenge for the death of his clan and family, trapping Quan Chi alongside him in the Netherrealm, where he will suffer for eternity in a hellscape. At least, that's the intention. The Mortal Kombat Gold version of the game, made specifically for the Sega Dreamcast, also featured 7 additional playable characters, which we'll tell you a little bit about. So you got heroes Katana, the now human once more Cyrax, and Kung Lao, who is still thirsty to avenge his great ancestor in a fight against Goro. And then we have villains Sector, Baraka, and Melina, who is now Shinnok's assassin, because Melina, she always gotta be evil, baby. But if you thought Shinnok was a crazy threat, being an elder god and all, wait until you check out this game. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Deadly Alliance was released in 2002. Deadly Alliance cut back somewhat on what MK4 was doing in terms of fatalities, with only 1 per character and no stage fatalities included. Each character, however, gets 3 fighting styles, which is pretty cool, 2 hand-to-hand combat fighting styles, and 1 weapon style each. The game also features some iconic modes of play, including Conquest Mode, Crypt Mode, and Lab Mode. And of course, mini games, Test Your Might, and the added Test Your Sight. In the story for the game, Quan Chi and Scorpion start off as being trapped in Netherrealm, but thanks to his connection to the Oni Moloch, Quan Chi manages to escape and is transported to the Hall of the Dragon King, where he finds the Dragon King's undead army. Wanting to revive and control this army for himself, Quan Chi decides to team up with fellow MK villain Shang Tsung, creating the main Deadly Alliance the game is centered around, because that's the name of the game, Deadly Alliance. Quan Chi promises to pay Shang Tsung in souls for his help, because we all know how much Shang Tsung loves his souls. Kicking their team up into motion, their first action of business is to defeat Liu Kang, permanently, with Shang Tsung claiming the hero's soul after Liu Kang is defeated. A shocking start to the game, for sure, since Liu Kang has been our hero throughout. Despite losing Earthrealm's greatest champion, Raiden refuses to give up, assembling the rest of Earth's heroes to stop the Deadly Alliance. His roster of heroes includes Johnny Cage, Katana, Kung Lao, Scorpion, Kenshi, the goofy Master Bo Rai Cho, teacher of Liu Kang, Sonya and Jax, who also seek to rescue their fellow Special Forces team member Cyrax from Outworld, Sub-Zero, who is now the leader of the Lin Kuei, and his student Frost. On the villain side, we of course have Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, but also Kano, who is working with them. Reptile is also here, but seems kind of a little less evil, I would say, in this role, at least as far as I understand it. Also featured in the game is Li Mei and Tara, who each seek to free their own realms from Outworld's rule, Mavado, leader of the criminal Red Dragon Clan, Su Hao, member of the Red Dragon Clan, Draman and Oni seeking revenge on Quan Chi, and 2 unlockable characters, Blaze, also known as background character Torch from MK2, and Mocap, real mocap actor made manifest, and canonically, in the game, Johnny Cage's good friend. This game also featured different outfits or skins that you could equip and some extremely insane physics. It was very different from other Mortal Kombat games in that the ending saw the villains actually succeed and win, beating the heroes and defeating Raiden. But their victory would be short-lived, as Reptile had actually stumbled upon the egg of the Dragon King that had been guarded by Blaze. Reptile would become the new host, and the Dragon King, Onaga, would return. Mortal Kombat Deception, which released in 2004, picks up right where Deadly Alliance leaves off. After defeating Raiden, Quan Chi and Shang Tsung pretty much immediately turn on each other, pretty understandable for villains, battling for power over Shinnok's amulet, and with it, control over the undead army, with Quan Chi ultimately coming out the victor between them. However, it is then that the Dragon King, Onaga, shows back up, and despite seemingly being pretty permanently defeated, at least that's what it looked like in the cutscene. This is Mortal Kombat after all, I guess, so maybe not. Shang Tsung and Raiden get back up and join Quan Chi in the fight against Onaga. In an attempt to defeat Onaga, Raiden sacrifices himself, channeling one big blast that basically destroys the building they're in, defeating Quan Chi and Shang Tsung successfully, but not Onaga, unfortunately. Onaga is made of tougher stuff, apparently. Made of that dragon scale, you know? Onaga, now armed with the amulet, sets out to conquer all of the realms, but we got a question to answer. How did Onaga get here? Well, to answer that question, you would have to go to Conquest Mode, where you would play as Shujinko, the new mysterious main character who seeks to defeat Onaga. Here, Conquest Mode is not just a tutorial, but it's like an open-world action-adventure game where you play through the life of Shujinko. Story mode, friends. Story mode. His story takes place decades before the events of MK1, when he is but a young boy training under Master Bo-Rai Cho. Shujinko is approached by an entity known as Damashi. Damashi claims to be a messenger from the Elder Gods who seeks help with a quest to unite all the realms' Kamidogus. You play as Shujinko throughout his life, who must travel to various realms, collecting these artifacts and bringing them back to the Nexus. Shujinko's story takes place over the course of MK1 through 5 in the timeline, with Shujinko always being basically too busy with his own quest to help the other heroes during the other events of the other games. After completing your quest as Shujinko, you learn that the entity Damashi was actually Onaga's disembodied consciousness, and that Onaga has returned thanks to Reptile's actions in Deadly Alliance. In order to succeed in conquering all the realms, Onaga now only needs Shinnok's amulet, which, as we know from the opening of this game, he gets. Surprise! In the end, however, Shujinko is successful in defeating Onaga, saving all the realms from the threat he unintentionally helped to create. That's the canon ending for this game. So this game had so many characters, with a whopping 31 characters appearing in the Unchained PSP version of it, which was released the following year. Heroes included Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Dark Raiden, who also gets his electric fly back after his self-sacrifice, Zombie Liu Kang, Ermac, Sindel, Jade, Nightwolf, Master Bo-Rai Cho, Li Mei, Kenshi, Cleric of Chaos, Havoc, who wants to destroy Onaga for Shao Kahn, so not really like good, but also against Onaga anyway, so I'm gonna count him. And of course, Shujinko. Villains included Melina, Baraka, Tanya, new leader of the Black Dragon Clan, Cabal, Cobra and Kira, new members of the Black Dragon Clan, and General Hotaru from the Realm of Order. More neutral characters included Ashra, Darius, Dairo, Goro, who is a prince, and I apparently somehow missed that until this game, and, of course, Shao Kahn. It also included Noob Smoke, which I had to watch a separate video on just to understand what the heck was happening with that team up slash mashup, but I figured it out. I get it. It's cool. It's weird, but it's cool. This game features Harikiri as a fatality alternative that basically allows you as the loser of a fight to try and outrace the winner to basically rob them of their winning move, their fatality, by taking your own life. It also included stage fatalities and stage weapons. Deception was the first game that actually featured an online versus mode, which I think is pretty cool. Like, I don't think it was the first game ever, but I mean in Mortal Kombat anyways. It also featured a puzzle mode, endurance mode, which I also think is pretty cool, and my personal favorite mode, maybe of all time, the chess mode. I don't know how this isn't just a game by itself. It sounds so fun, which I just really want to like get this game just so I can play that. I definitely need to play this game just for the chess mode. And if you thought Deception was a lot, if you thought that was a lot, wait until we get into the magnum opus of the MK3D era, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Not in terms of it doing anything radically new per se, but more in terms of its epic ambition to include literally every single character in the world that we've been introduced to thus far. That is over 60 playable characters. And you could also make your own custom character as well, creating a version of yourself as a fighter in the world of Mortal Kombat. I wonder how long that character creation would take me. I notoriously take a long time to create characters. Mortal Kombat Armageddon released in 2006, and while it did contain all characters, this meant each character had to be simplified in terms of fighting styles and fatalities. In fact, personalized fatalities were gone, and instead you had create your own fatality. The goofiest thing, the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and that's saying something considering, you know, all the fatalities and alternatives to fatalities that we've gotten so far. Mortal Kombat Armageddon modes included versus, both local and online, tower mode, Moto Combat, which is basically like Mario Kart but reimagined MK style, also sounds super fun, and of course Conquest mode. The story for Armageddon is also one of the most complex, but the premise for it is just based around like a pretty simple prophecy. It is said that when the most powerful warriors from all the realms meet on the battlefield in Edenia, that they would threaten to destroy the universe with their power. You know, like when you fight so hard, you destroy the universe, bringing about Armageddon. That's what we're talking about here. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if that's a thing that normally happens, but that's what we're talking about. Once again, the story here unfolds in the conquest mode, where we learn of those who first became burdened by this prophecy, the prophetic sorceress Delia and her husband Argus from Edenia. Feeling that safeguards must be put in place to protect all of the realms against Armageddon, good idea, the two discussed what should be done. Argus built basically an alarm clock pyramid with Blaze, the elemental, who would awaken when Armageddon was nigh and where the final battle would ultimately take place. Not agreeing on how their two sons should be used to defeat Armageddon, they each gave them different armor, which would result in sort of different punishments for the warriors whose fighting threatened all of the realms. They then put their sons Dagon and Taven into stasis so that they would awake only when Armageddon was about to happen. Alarm clock Blaze, remember? However, Dagon awoke early and was corrupted by Shinnok's influence. As a result, he turned on his parents, slaying them, and then basically became another wild, overarching villain for this franchise as the true person behind the criminal Red Dragon clan. He'd been making all the moves since day one. Taven, on the other hand, awakens on time and is told that he must defeat Blaze, competing against his brother Dagon because obviously their armor has different effects, so whoever defeats Blaze will determine the outcome of Armageddon. But then Taven runs into Dagon and realizes that, well, he's evil now, and he's old, and he's not really in this quest for the right reasons, like, at all. Very power hungry at that Dagon. Running around the various realms and maps to complete your quest, you run into various important characters from the Mortal Kombat world and interact with them. Honestly, it sounds pretty cool. Eventually, you end up in the Netherrealm where Shinnok attempts to distract you, tricking you into going to Outworld with you teleporting straight into Shao Kahn's fortress. Once there, you unintentionally jump scare Goro, who you must fight before meeting Deception's protagonist, Shujinko, who is in Shao Kahn's prison. You free him and sneak into a meeting where basically all the villains are linking up for the big Armageddon party, but before you can follow them through a portal to Edenia, you must defeat Dark Raiden, who is allied with Shao Kahn in exchange for Shao Kahn's promise that Earthrealm will not be conquered by him. Also, I just want to say, the fact that you can run around and interact with characters, both in Deception as Shujinko and in Armageddon as Taven, I think is so cool. But this game seems even deeper in the sense that all of the interactions you have are kind of part, like, they're not just random. Like, they relate to the character stories that you're running into. They sort of delay you on your quest, which is you're just trying to, like, get to go do your own thing. And I think that it just is, like, the story in this is so deep. It's so deep. This is why it's taking me so long. It's so deep. Anyways, after defeating Raiden, you arrive in Edenia and you head towards the final area atop the pyramid, where you must battle your brother Dagon to find out who will get to battle Blaze. The sets of armor Taven and Dagon wear will each trigger different outcomes when Blaze is defeated by their wearer. One will apparently cause the powerful warriors to all be killed, ending Armageddon, and the other will end Armageddon simply by depowering all the warriors. As Taven, you defeat Dagon, and then you must defeat the final boss, Blaze. After defeating Blaze, the canon ending for Armageddon explains that neither of these things happened. A weird third option apparently happened after the final battle. Blaze's power moved into Taven upon him being defeated, but that isn't all. Instead of perishing or losing their powers and abilities, the warriors instead also get some of Blaze's power, each gaining somewhat of a power boost. So the opposite effect of what we wanted. Taven knows this technically is not close to a perfect solution for the Armageddon problem, and he basically vows to hold off Armageddon while he works on a way to solve this new issue. And that, my friends, is the 3D era. That's how it ends. And that was supposed to be, I believe, the final ending. We resolved Armageddon, right? Or did we? Because we got MK9 now. So, that's the end of the 3D era. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Please feel free to come back and join me as I explore the story of MK9 through MK11. I'm playing MK11 right now and I'm loving it. And I'm so excited for MK1, friends. Ugh. At the time of this recording, I have a couple days and then it will be out. I'm really excited. All right. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy. Bye.